All right, welcome to WTF Music Podcast. This is episode 6, and here today we have a couple of new fellas that we've just been catching up with, and really excited to talk about their couple projects that they're in, El Chavos and then Joy Bomb. But El Chavos being the main project, right, guys?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Cool. So I got to hear the single. It's called Slam Burger, right? Before we kind of dive in, because I got so many questions about influences and different things, but like, tell me a little bit about where you guys are from and how you guys met and how you guys got started.
So we're both from Memphis, born and raised. I mean, you were born in like Germantown.
I was born in Germantown.
No, you were born
raised in Bartlett.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right on.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right on.
Yeah.
Memphis enough.
Yeah, close enough.
Memphis basically is Shelby County. you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
The surrounding area.
The two of us met when we were really young at the School of Rock in East Memphis.
Oh, cool.
Like we were mad young. Like I was like
You were like-
10,
I
you were
was
like
like 12.
12.
Right on.
Yeah. And from there we started a couple bands with, other people we knew from there. None of which we would really do much with because we were young.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, by that time we were like
Well, we started making bands together.
12 and 14,
Yeah.
and then we
Okay,
were like
okay.
14 and 16.
Yeah.
Like those are the other two.
Mhm.
That's when we actually like tried to do it, and there's always just been kind of like an undeniable like chemistry musically that we have as him being a drummer and me as a guitarist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it shows in the music for sure.
It's I mean, yeah, we hope it does.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, we just kind of have this undeniable chemistry. So we've been in like, I mean, most of the bands I've actually been in, like Xander was a part of.
Me too.
Yeah, so
I
Very
think I've
awesome.
been like
Yeah.
I've been in like one, maybe two bands that also, that didn't really do anything
Mhm.
from when I was younger that like Lukey wasn't in. But like
Okay.
yeah, pretty much everything else we
Like before y'all met, or like
No, it was
no
like,
after?
it was,
After.
like,
Yeah.
after.
Cool.
Well, what was like the first song you guys ever wrote together,
together.
So
or just in any project? Like,
Well,
what was
so-
the first thing y'all
Oh
collaborated on?
shit. Okay, well,
first project
I
was just covers.
Okay.
well,
Second one, we, it was us two and another guy that,
we wrote our first piece of music together in that band.
yeah, we wrote a few songs.
Still have that file on my phone.
Yeah,
Nice.
we do still have the file
Keep
from,
everything.
we recorded
Got
it
to.
back when I was like 14. It was called Mr. Business. It was about, it kind of sounds like something by The Garden.
Okay.
Yeah, there
like,
was a
like a
definitely-
more like high energy like garden
It-
song.
It was our third, the third unmentioned member was really kind of into that group, and there was definitely some influence on there.
Sure.
So that's like the first thing we did together. That fizzled out like fast.
Sure.
All right.
We were practicing in my house for like a year.
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
some
and
shit.
it just nothing ever came out of it. We fizzled, and a couple of years passed, and then me and Xander regrouped, and he had a group called El Chavos.
Mhm.
Showed me some demos of some of the songs that would end up being on the first EP,
Mhm.
and I was like, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And then we started jamming out together as Chavos, and we wrote that's when we wrote like Hidden Valley, the third song on the first EP. That was like the first collective music that I felt like I was like, okay, like we're doing something, and it has traction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really
yeah.
feel
And it was-
forward momentum.
So yeah, and that was right when I joined.
Yeah.
Chavos.
Nice.
Because like the first two were just me and Harrison writing.
Mhm.
Um,
Who we also met
and then
at School of Rock.
Lukey put a solo on both those two songs.
Nice.
I'm not really sure if that counts as being a musician, but it
It
counts as being a
does.
guitarist.
It
Counts
counts.
to an
It
extent.
counts. Well, before we dive into El Chavo specifically, when you guys were doing like the covers, like what songs were you covering?
Okay,
Like,
so
what was-
Old School Chavos, we used to cover a lot of
There's a
Weezer.
lot.
Yeah, there you go.
Dude, we covered so much Weezer. We used to
played,
cover
like-
Why Bother off Pinkerton. We
good one.
mainly Pinkerton songs. 'Cause
Why-
we're that band.
Yeah.
No.
We covered that. We covered Tired of Sex.
And we
It's a good
did
one.
World Has Turned.
Yeah,
Okay.
off Blue
From
Album.
Blue Album. I'm trying to think.
We used to cover a whole bunch of Jimmy Eat World.
Yeah, played like Bleed American, Sweetness, and like Blister from Clarity.
Blister's a good one, man.
Blister's really good.
Yeah, bring that back. That was.
We closed the first show with it. I'm pretty sure
it went really well. That was
been long enough. Somebody should get away with a good remake of that.
Yeah. Well, we did that, and then I mean you can obviously tell like what bands we're into by the bands we're like covering. It's like because after that there was a lot of Jimmy Eat World coverage and a lot of Title Fight covers, and there still are like a lot of Title Fight covers.
Yeah, that's like the main band we do now.
So y'all still do covers in y'all sets today and stuff like
occasionally.
Okay.
If the set calls for it,
right? If it's a longer set and you want to feel something,
if we're playing like an hour, we'll throw like a cover or two
cool
in there. Just because we have like 15 songs pretty much ready to be played live, but not all of them we like.
Okay, not all of them you want to play every set.
But we don't want to play the same ones every night.
Right,
so
right. You want to switch some out.
But
like you said, like songs that we don't like. There's a song off the second EP that like we will never play again. Live ever. Ever.
What happened?
No, there's no reason. It's just my personal
right. Okay.
Against that song.
Yeah.
I made a big statement with that. I was like, we're leaving that song in 2024.
There you go. I was wondering if there was some awkward on stage story or something.
It's just I sound like like I'm like 13.
Okay, yeah, that's totally understandable as a singer not wanting.
It's not like the vibe we're really going for anymore.
It's like the old school happy pop punk Chavos, and that's just not what we are anymore.
Yeah,
cool.
So, individually, like as a guitar player, what bands influenced your play style?
Oh, dude, My Chemical Romance for sure. Frank Iero specifically influences my guitar playing like a little too much.
Yeah.
And I like a lot of my lead lines are big octave riffs and fast fucking power chords and shit. And it's like very, very Frank Iero. So that's number one. Jamie from Title Fight. Because Title Fight. So those two. And then a lot of I grew up Chavos is not like the heaviest thing I listen to. I grew up a lot listening to a lot of heavier shit, and so a lot more like heavier guitarists, shit from As Blood Runs Black, and like those crazy like metalcore, deathcore riffs and shit.
Yeah,
I love all that.
Yeah,
and,
hell yeah.
So I think the abrasiveness of that at least plays into my play style.
Okay,
so
that's cool.
I feel like that's a good way to put it. Yeah, and you also play guitar, right?
Yeah, good there are a lot of guitarists I like, and there are a few drummers I like. Like I really fuck with like as Lukey said, fucking Jamie Roden from Title Fight. I really like how Jamie Roden and Shane Moran like split their guitar parts. Yeah. There are a lot of songs where like just like Jamie is playing like lead stuff, but then there's some where they like split it up a lot.
Sure.
But it's kind of like, I don't know, to me it's cool that there's like there's kind of a dedicated lead guitar, but like it also shows that like the other guy can like,
it's not just one guy who can do it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. He's got some tricks up his sleeve too,
right. If it calls for it, you can show your stardom on it.
And that's kind of how I write a lot of the guitar parts for this.
Cool. That's awesome. And you're a drummer.
Yeah, and my favorite drummer is probably like Tony Hajar from At the Drive-In in Sparta. Just super fucking creative. But he's not like crazy,
right, right.
He's like very tasteful.
There's a musicality about it.
Yeah. I think tasteful is like the perfect word.
He's like the most, he's like probably the most tasteful, like post-hardcore type, like that kind of music drummer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, back to the Slamburger track. So tell me, what is there a backstory to the song?
I really wish Harrison was here because he wrote it. But I mean, there is a backstory. The song is about something.
Yeah.
It's not just like bullshit.
Yeah.
That song. If you want to, jump in here, Zane.
It's about like, I know it's about like somewhat. It's about a like time capsule
Mm-hmm.
like letter he wrote himself. I mean, from the first
cool.
lyrics of the
That's an interesting
song, I wrote a letter to
thing.
myself.
That's fucking cool.
In that time capsule, he mentions a girl he was dating at the time a lot.
Oh wow!
And when he went back to reread the time capsule, they weren't together.
How long, like
That's
between
what
when
it
he wrote
was.
it and when he went back and read it? Do you know?
I don't know.
It's probably about a year apart, maybe.
I could like text him like right now. Like, hey man, cool question. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. But I mean, like when you Harrison, at least as a lyricist in our early shit, because he's no longer part of Chavos, but when he was like lyrically, he always surprised me. Especially Slamburger's a great example of that. It's just wrote a letter to myself, so we're doing fine. You're still on my mind. And it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And then
it really works
just,
out.
I don't know. It's just clever.
Well, and there's a crazy poetry to that, considering that it's a true story.
Yeah.
You know?
He was very like well studied and well written. I mean, he had like a 5.26 GPA in high school.
Nice.
Like he
Nice.
was, I think he was like salutatorian at Christian Brothers or something.
Yeah.
Like he's on his shit. Now
It's
he's in.
obviously smart. Just
Yeah.
listening to the
Like
whole song.
he
and
goes
it's
to
like, wow.
he's like a pre-med major at UGA now. So like
Before we hop on too far, like, what are your links? Where can everybody go find you to listen to this track? Obviously, it's on YouTube, but do you have socials and stuff?
I mean, we have an Instagram. That's pretty much all our social media presence.
Yeah.
You probably should get on more platforms. but-
Eventually.
And then as far as like streaming, I mean, we're on the big ones:
Spotify.
We're on-
Apple
yeah.
Music,
pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just
SoundCloud as well.
yeah, or are we?
Might not be on
Okay. Okay.
I know we recently just put our stuff on Bandcamp.
Okay. Cool.
and
What's the
we had-
Instagram at, real quick, for
El
that?
Chavos official.
There you
El
go.
Chavos official. Right on. And so I know that the Slamburger song is on YouTube as well. And with just looking at the artwork, was it from the EP or is it a full record?
It's from the second EP. It's
Okay.
the last song on the second EP.
It's called The Lines Between Us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's get into it, guys.
that
was a,
side
No,
deserves
I-
explanation.
I was on like a car trip in Arkansas. I think I was going up to see some of my family. And we didn't have a name for our EP yet. This was still when we were like in the listening phase of like Dane sending us all the mixes and masters and whatnot, and us telling him what we like and don't like. I was thinking about what the name of the EP should be, and I thought about Lines Between Us because it's one of the lyrics in the song Gold Star, the second track. But it's also like I thought that name made a lot of sense because we were fucking at each other's throats in the studio.
There you go.
Like I fucking
we all kind of had,
I fucking cussed Hank out one night.
yeah, we had a lot of issues.
The old band disagreement.
Him and Hank were at it. I was okay with Hank. I wanted to like kill Xander during those tracking. So I mean, he's like playing the songs and be like it was good, but like what if you did it like this? I'm like, fuck you. I'm like, just like I want to punch you in the face right now.
Most of the tension was between me and Hank and me and Lukey.
Yeah, and then Harrison doesn't really bring tension. He just, I mean, I wish he was more of a perfectionist, but that's all I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah.
But me and Xander wanted to kill each other.
Well, I have to ask this question because I've heard it's the band fight dynamic has happened so many times over the years. I've seen bands literally fall apart and break up from it, and this is all during the studio sessions,
Yeah.
And then I've seen other bands where it's like that fight for it really, like, ultimately everybody wanted perfection, which is I guess different in this case, but like, did you see benefits from the struggle? Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
In this one, in this last EP, not. I mean, kinda. I think it's more of like what I'm expecting for the album. I'm expecting like a shit ton of struggle because we're gonna be beating ourselves up in the studio, like trying to be perfect. And I think the struggle for that will end up being, fruitful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I can't really say the same for the EP. I think we wasted a lot of time, and there was
Well,
stuff that
one
could've been better.
follow-up question on that. Has there ever been a song written based off of your fights? Like, was there ever something that came out of it that's like just specifically from disagreements with each other?
No,
I don't.
I mean, that's a good idea.
I was about to say the same
Like,
thing.
that's
That's a really good
Like,
idea.
might have to credit you.
Or,
There you go.
You know, this is what I do. I'm an ideas man.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I always found that to be quite interesting when bands. It's not good when it's going down. Obviously,
Right.
Like, nobody's happy. It's awkward when you're sitting on this side of the glass. It's like, oh shit. Are we gonna get through the day?
Right.
Like, what's gonna happen? But usually, when bands can kind of work it out and kind of find when it finally clicks, like when the recording, like everybody's suddenly like, oh, that take was actually good.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's all it takes to like shut up a fight too. Is like that take was really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the wounds
Absolutely.
go away when you're listening back and you're like, that was it, man. That was good.
Yeah, there were definitely a couple of times in studio where it felt like there was kind of like almost like a sense of bliss, and like when we would listen to a track and we'd all kind of like come to a consensus that like, hey, that was good.
That actually
Yeah.
was
It's
good.
like, we all kind of had like a clarity amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like I don't completely hate y'all.
It sounded
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it
We can actually
sounded,
make something.
You're
of
not that bad.
Yeah.
it sounded really good like at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're anything
Yeah.
like myself, having done records, when you go back and listen to your own record 2 and 3 years later, you're like, I don't ever want to hear that again. But that to me that's what you should feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It shows that there's
you
growth.
should always be doing
Right.
so much better than your last effort that
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, I don't ever want to listen to that again because like this is so much improved and I've grown so much. Like, I'm not gonna go enjoy listening to my first EP. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
but that's a good thing.
I think that's kind of where I'm at least in Chavos, because like I'm just so ready for like, because like I'm kind of briefly mentioned it a second ago. It's like we're in the writing process of the our first full length, and
Awesome.
it is like I'm like God, I don't want people to know that we like released our other 2 EPs because this shit is so much this shit is
Just
fire,
so much improved.
but at the same time, I mean, like, you can't help that.
No.
No,
Well,
yeah.
and if nothing else, man, it's your history, it's your past.
Right. Shows
And it
growth.
shows that growth. Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't really appreciate how good something has finally got. I mean, until you like go back and listen to the old stuff. But there's something to be said about coming out with a bang too. First impressions, and
Right.
it's the internet, for God's
Yeah.
sake. There's so much music out there. It's like, well, you kind of really only want to put your best foot forward.
Right.
Yeah.
So, how far along is the new record?
We have most of the songs written. So I'm trying to think. We're actually gonna bring back 3 of our old ones.
Mhm.
And
One from the first EP, 2 from the second EP.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Oh,
One of them.
Slam's
one of-
gonna be one.
Yeah, one of them is Slamburger. So.
Nice.
one of
Little
the
blink
Slamburger.
treatment?
Have there been
Redo 'em?
any
Re-record 'em?
adjustments,
Nice.
adaptations?
Just kind of throw like a little flair on it, kind of just show how like we've matured. I mean, like it's fun. It's it's a goofy song. We're a fun goofy band, but like just almost make it for lack of a better term, like a little more serious take on it.
Sure.
We
Awesome.
we definitely want it to hit harder. We want we're at least I think we're planning to get a much tighter recording than
Cool.
the last few.
Sure.
Like our last EP, we barely practiced beforehand.
Okay.
We practiced like one night, like
Yeah,
right
it
before
was-
the
it was a
studio,
shit show.
because we were all
That's
extremely
something you
busy.
learn doing it, man. Pre-production is what
Yeah.
we call it.
I
Pre-production.
mean, and we had a great time doing the second EP, but like also we were like had all our friends in there, and we were all like high,
Yeah,
which is like fun.
We were smoking a lot.
We were like
Like at times we shouldn't have been.
we should like, and it's like I'm all for smoking in the studio. Like that listening phase is wonderful, but like wait till you're in the listening
there's a
phase.
time to work.
I
there's
mean,
a time to play.
we didn't work a lot. We played quite a bit.
To be fair, all my work was done after like the second day.
Second
There
day,
you go.
yeah,
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
drums, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first step. And then you get to sit back on the couch and make fun of everybody as they screw up.
Yeah. But
And
But
we
I
were
need
all
to-
sick too.
yeah,
So like
but
vocals took forever.
No,
it is
yeah.
important for me to not just like get fed and actually kind of have my wits about me when we're recording
course,
this
yeah,
show
yeah,
because
and
I
that's
really really deeply care about like
Right,
how it
exactly.
sounds.
Mhm.
Like both of y'all are, I mean, I would imagine at this point in the history of this band, very passionate about what's
Yeah.
coming next
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, you wanting it to be right and being able to give the right
Mhm.
info and feedback, I totally understand. Yeah.
So for anybody interested as they're listening, is there a time frame in mind? Like you got to, not that there's a hard, I know you're writing, but like,
I have an idea in my head. Now I'm not 100% sure of how it's gonna work out.
Right.
But ideally, I mean, we'd like to have something out this year.
yeah,
Nice.
very
Nice.
Very
We
cool.
have like a week in June where I think we're all pretty much available.
We're gonna try.
So
maybe
I
get
think
some-
we're gonna try to um get that week booked. Where exactly, we're
Right.
still not entirely sure.
Sure. Well, I think your music's cool, guys, from what I've heard. So
Well, I
appreciate
really
that.
appreciate it.
Let us know, of course. But so kind of going into some of the other things involving with the band, like how often are you guys playing? Like where do you gig? That's another thing I was really curious about. Like where are you playing shows?
We play at so when we started out, we actually played a lot at Growlers. Like
Mhm.
most of our early shows were all at Growlers.
Yeah.
But I mean, since
It's an
then we've
interesting room, man.
I
uh,
love growlers.
I'm trying to think like
Played high tone quite a bit.
high tone, both rooms,
Both
usually
rooms.
small rooms.
Small room goes so well for us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Um,
it's way more fun to play a small, fully packed
yeah, that's what.
room
Yeah,
than
Play-
like if you did Minglewood and you've only
Right.
got like
Yeah.
the first third of the space is you know,
Right. I mean,
it's not the same energy.
we played all of the Haven House locations.
yeah.
that-
Every
that
Haven
were-
House location.
we played the original one, played Warehouse when it was a thing, and then we headlined the first show at the New Haven House when it got moved downtown.
Cool.
And that was
Is that still around or no?
the New Haven House
The
just
New
got,
Haven
the new
one,
just
yeah.
got opened.
the
So
new one. Did.
yeah,
Okay,
so then
cool.
and we played, like I said, we headlined the first show.
I had
Yeah, we
moved
did.
away for a few years, and I'm not even familiar with that venue.
It's
Cool.
yeah,
Cool.
it's just come around, and Ben and Jay are doing some really great things for the scene.
Excellent.
But
That's good to
like,
hear.
it's honestly one of my favorite venues we've played at since.
That's
It's
lit.
like really
Yeah.
really cool. Big space for underground bands.
How do you feel about the scene and the community? Like, what's going on around town that's like
No comment.
See, that's sad. That sucks to hear. So, like, when I was really first getting into like the local music scene, man, it was like, again, showing my age, but it was like 99 through 2004, right around there. This is like when I was graduating high school and going through college, and there was a thriving music scene in Memphis at the time. And, yeah, the New Daisy was like the thing back
Right.
then. But it was totally different vibes downtown at the time. But like the thing that was so cool was like if three bands were headlining or playing a joint show one Friday, everybody who was playing the next weekend was literally at that show, brought all their friends, had their girlfriends and their friend, and it ended up, you know, there was a circle of camaraderie, right? You know?
Yeah.
So like as people were leaving, all those bands would hang out near the door and they'd be handing out little flyers about the next weekend.
Right.
So
Yeah.
people were like knowing what's going on, and the people that were on stage were sure going to show up the next weekend because they showed up for you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like this give and take kind of symbiotic relationship between everybody. And I don't have my hand on the pulse of what's happening in this scene these days, but I feel like that is a key component that's missing.
What I'll say about the scene right now is that I didn't really notice that there was a scene for our type of music here until we started playing, and then that scene came.
Yeah.
Not to pat ourselves on the back or anything like
No,
that.
but
But
exactly.
I feel like a big reason that there is a scene for like any type of post-hardcore adjacent music. It's like I feel like at least more recent times, like I feel like El Chavos has been kind of a big part of that, at least in Memphis.
Which great, man. And
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear it.
It makes me really proud of us, but
you should be.
yeah, but
I mean,
like not to
especially
pat
if
myself
it's
on the back.
building
No,
and
no,
growing
it's.
and,
I mean, as an outside perspective, who's seen y'all play for the last 3 years, I would completely agree. Like no one's really filling those shoes the way that y'all have, at least. And it's slowed down here and there and stuff like that. But
well,
I mean,
2020 didn't help.
no, yeah, but yeah, no, I would absolutely. You're no need to discredit yourself because you're absolutely right. You guys definitely filled those shoes here in Memphis.
Just trying to stay humble.
Got to. I mean, yeah,
Well,
got to. But yeah,
you got to stay humble and you got to stay practical. But at the
Right.
same time, there's no reason not to set your mindset on, yeah, we can build this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you build, it's quoting cheesy movies, but if you build it, they'll come, man.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, if you get the right vibe, the right environment, and frankly, in my opinion, there has to be some element of positivity between bands. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and this is something I run American Studios here, and I have friends at all the studios in town. And I thought, I've been friends with them for a long time, and I talk to everybody. It's like, my neighbor isn't my competition, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
I mean,
here versus the world, right?
Yeah.
Like, if one thing pops off in a major way from Memphis, guess what? All eyes turn and look there, because everybody in the investment end of music is always looking for that next big thing that's going to take off. And that changes and shifts. And we used to even talk about it as like 10-year cycles, right?
Yeah.
You could think about it as there's the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, so on and so forth. But ever since, like, I don't know, maybe like 2005 and on, it's kind of been this lull. And it's been somewhat similar music that's been popular for freaking
kind of just been regurgitated.
and
100%.
and redone. And a lot of that, in my mind, has to do with digital based production kind of overtaking a lot of things. And it's understandable because it's very easy for people to do and get their hands on a computer and start building stuff, right?
Yep.
But it's gotten old. And some of the cooler music I've heard these days really incorporates live instrumentation with some of that digital side of
Right.
things. And there's a lot of really cool ways to do that. But I think people are ready for something that's more organic, that is that kind of like, you can't just get that out of the box, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we every time we're in the studio we live track.
That's
Mhm.
non-negotiable.
I mean, we recorded one song at a U of M studio and we didn't really live track for it, but
My old
It's-
stomping ground, man.
it's Albert Borough.
I graduated from there, from the
I
University.
can see
of Memphis.
the I can see
That
the
whole,
hood.
if it's, I know they've built more stuff over at the University of Memphis lately, but the original studio that was in there was actually horrible.
Were you Rec Tech?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Rec Tech right now.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Jeff Klein, John Frazier.
I'm a freshman. I'm taking
Oh,
musicianship.
yeah, you'll get to know him. Yeah, you can tell him you've met me and talked with me. I've known those guys again for forever now.
For sure.
Yeah, but it is an excellent program, and Jeff and John absolutely know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Jeff Klein, who's head of the program there, worked on all I'm trying to remember which part. It might have been some of the B sides, but Nine Inch Nails. I mean,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
Jeff had his own, fairly successful records as well. So like they legitimately know what they're doing.
Right.
And I've always still to this day recommend, the Rec Tech program over there, because those guys, it's about who you're learning from.
Yeah.
Like anybody can go over the material with you, but if you've been there, you've seen it, you've done it for real,
Mhm.
those types of things can teach you far more
Right.
than anything just in a book
Yeah.
or watching a YouTube video online.
Yeah.
It's not going to quite get the job done. But anyways, what were y'all recording at the University of Memphis?
It's one of the singles for our album, but not sure what's gonna be out because the guy we had do it, he's like doing it for his project,
Sure.
and the post production is all in the spring semester.
Mm.
So
So you're basically waiting months for a take, basically.
pretty
Yeah.
much.
I mean, yeah. That's a simple way to look at it.
I mean, the raw takes
The
we
rough.
got, the rough is not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll sound pretty good once it's mixed.
Right.
Yeah.
Some I would be comfortable putting out for sure.
And then kind of back on what you were saying about kind of you think like the scene's kind of waiting for something more organic. It's like I feel like that's absolutely what, at least I mean I feel like I can speak for the band, but I'm gonna speak for myself, saying like that's what I strive for in Chavos is that organic shit you can't replicate with a program. Like
Exactly.
this is us four being being angsty with our instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was a really interesting study that came out, and all this development with AI stuff, right? And there was all this kind of concern about like, well, is everybody just going to be typing what they want into an AI program and popping stuff out? But they asked one of the most developed AI programs, what did they think, or what did the AI program see as being able to do for music in the future? And the thing that it listed was that the most likely thing that AI would probably replace is a laptop producer.
Right. Yeah.
Because AI is going to be faster and more efficient looking at all the same sound libraries, same catalogs of stuff, and then structuring it. And all it needs is some general guidelines about what you want for it. But the thing the AI program said is it cannot replicate analog. And now I mean analog as in all of this, and also analog as in performance.
Right.
Yeah.
There are intricacies in nature with sound waves of actually doing it that it doesn't think it'll ever be able to make it like that.
Yeah. I mean,
So there's even more value coming down the road to people who are doing it live, who are doing it as a band and as a collective cohesive thing. And I don't think 10 years from now that most of your beat makers are still going to be able to afford to do what they're doing unless they adapt.
Yeah.
Unless they adapt to survive. Now, there are ways to do that. You can actually record your own samples. You can make your own
absolutely.
loops. You can
Right.
Yeah.
because that's not anything anybody else could get. You could go sit out at the drum kit and like make your own loop and then build a digital production from that. And then, so there's smart ways to do certain things, but just straight pulling from libraries, that's not gonna.
Yeah.
AI
gonna
is
make
gonna be
it
10
anymore.
times faster than
Right.
you. Like good luck keeping up.
Yeah.
So to me, and again, like I've been involved in music since like the mid 90s. Professionally, I list as around 2000, 2003, 2004. And I've seen stuff come and go. And like, I remember right around 2008, there was a housing market crash. It was this big tank in the economy. It was bad. Studios really struggled at the time because one of the things people don't always think about is when the economy's bad, your entertainment budget is the first thing to get,
Right.
axed. So instead of people trying to book the studio, that was also coincidentally the same time that home recording equipment became somewhat feasible to
Right.
buy. It was still thousands of dollars, but you could do that. I mean, it's like, did you want to spend, $10,000 to $15,000 trying to make a record, or did you want to spend $7,000 to buy a system and then try and do it yourself? Well, what was really funny to me at the time is all these people I knew, instead of coming to the studio, they were going out buying their own equipment, trying to record. And then they would spend months and months and months, and they would never end up getting something they were happy with. It either half those guys ended up, sometimes I even got paid to do it. That was freaking tech support, like trying to help. You really should just come back in here.
Right.
And then, by 2010 or so, everybody started giving up on that.
Right. Yeah.
There were some exceptions, obviously. There's talented people that were able to do it, but like you have to be able to do like kind of two brains. You have to have your creative, I'm an artist brain, and then the technical side. And that's not everybody can do that,
Yep.
So for you guys, I guess performing and doing stuff live, do you prefer that element of it, or do you enjoy the recording process? I mean, which is kind of more what you're engaged with?
Live.
Live show
I
performance.
mean, we love the recording process,
Yeah.
but like, I mean, I set out like initially with this because I wanted to play live shows. More specifically, I wanted to play house shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it start with some house shows?
Oh, for sure.
That's pretty much like I don't know where we would be if
we didn't have the Manor Mansion shows.
If my folks didn't let us play at my house for like a year and a half or whatever.
Oh yeah, people got crazy too.
First one ever, there was more people there than could fit in the room.
Oh, that's
yeah,
right,
and that was like that was insane.
I mean, we had some crazy ones that next summer.
Yeah, we had
Summer
people
23
passing out in like the front yard,
Oh,
and
that's funny.
Summer 23 we were going nuts.
yeah,
Not gonna lie.
and that live sound, and you know, kind of back to what you're saying about like we love the studio, we do, but in the studio, the number one thing we're trying to emulate, in the best way possible is our live sound.
Mhm.
100%.
Sure.
We like you don't go to you don't listen to Chavos. You go to a Chavos show.
Sure,
Chavos
sure.
is not just something you listen to; it's an experience.
And that's a good thing.
And
That's
and
great.
our live show is like a very big part of who we are as musicians. And I mean, shit. I mean, ever seen a video of us? Like, I go nuts. You know,
Yeah,
like,
no, it's
that movement is all genuine too. It's
Right.
all of us. We're fucking pouring our hearts out with
Mhm.
Music and the way we're moving and the way we're singing, and that goes for all four of us.
High energy on
Yeah,
stage.
absolutely, absolutely.
It's fantastic.
I try my best from behind the drums.
Yeah.
Well, there are some drummers, man, that will literally steal the show. One of my favorite bands ever, hands down, is a band called Seven Dust. Are y'all
Oh, yeah.
familiar?
I've heard of
Seen them,
Heard of them?
seen them so many times.
Oh, dude, I saw them endlessly over the years.
Yeah.
Like, and it's always
kill it.
that high energy thing you're talking about. But Morgan Rose, the drummer, dude,
He's a
will
badass.
steal the show. It helps that he's one of those guys that I literally, I've met him in person, and I literally think that his wingspan is actually longer than he is tall. You know what I mean? So when he's hitting the drums, man, he's like swinging from the rafters. Like, I mean, he's really going at it. And it's just so animated and all this
Yeah.
energy. And he's the screamer in the band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's doing like all sorts of stuff. But like, for anybody who's interested in like really that live show element, I would really highly recommend you look at their infrastructure and what they do. You can find this one video of them on stage if you just look for, Morgan playing live. I know there's a couple of them, but their guys on their crew are so freaking pro, right? So Morgan, in this one clip I'm thinking of, like, he had an issue with his in-ear, right? But the show does not stop, right? So he's standing up, he's fixing his wireless pack and doing this, and he's like trying to do it, and he's doing one-handed, and his drum tech creeps up, and he's like hiding so that the crowd does not see him. He grabs the other stick, and he's his other hand, and they're playing.
Oh.
Like the drum tech's playing his left hand, Morgan's playing his right hand, and they're both using their other hands to fix the pack.
That's fucking
It's
insane.
it's insane.
That is insane.
There's a professionalism involved that's just absolutely admirable, and I think everybody wanting to be like live show focused should really study this. They're also road dogs. They will do 250 plus dates a year, and they literally, like, I think they had
what I'm
one
trying to do.
record,
yeah.
one record go gold. Well, no, they've had multiple go gold, but I think only one hit platinum, and they got 20 plus records, man.
Right.
Like 20 plus. And the thing is, though, they developed a fan base that is unbelievably loyal. Like, their fans, they never needed the blowout success. They, who cares about being, the popularity contest? They have, I guarantee it, 500,000 people that will buy anything they put out.
Right.
You slap Seven Dust on a freaking coffee cup, and 500,000 people guaranteed are going to buy that stuff. Because one, if you've seen their show, man,
Yeah.
like after the show, they're out there with everybody. They're mingling. They're nice. They're quality people.
It kind of breaks down that barrier of like seeing like a star.
Yes.
Right.
And that's something.
And they're humble, man.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. I love that.
even though they're like some of the most talented dudes I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, like, they're humble, man. They're just people. And and the other thing that's really cool, and to me, in my mind, is they're all family guys. at this point.
No.
And if you get backstage at some of these things, and this is true for a lot of bands, more than you would actually think. But you go backstage and you think it's going to be a party. And it's like, nah, it's just all the family eating on a buffet and the kids are running around and, it's normal life, right? But they're interacting with people in this really like honest, interesting way. And they don't need millions and millions. They just need that core fan base that
absolutely.
will do anything for them. You know what I'm saying? But they earned that. They earned that level of respect from their fans. And, you got to think, do easy math, man. You got 10-song record. For example, it's not the same anymore because you're not really selling CDs, but you got 500,000 people. You sell one item that's worth $10, man. Do the math.
Yeah.
That's a paycheck, bro. Like, I mean, that's good. Big paycheck. And that's on one item. So to me, I would highly encourage to like look at your live shows as that type of thing. And it builds a scene just by doing all that stuff naturally.
Yeah.
A bigger scene than just one city. They make their own scene everywhere they go.
Yep.
And there's something really cool about that. But so hopefully this year gonna have another record. Hopefully. What other goals do you have in mind? Like, I mean, obviously, like music videos are a part of things. Y'all thinking about doing one, or what are your goals?
We have a song called Dog Welder.
Mm-hmm.
It's about like 5 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's unreleased, but like when we play it, like fools go nuts.
Everyone goes
that is
nuts.
the one.
Yeah.
That is the one.
What was the name again?
Dog Welder.
Dog Welder.
It's named after like is he an anti-villain?
It's
or an anti-hero?
it's like this really obscure like part of like DC universe.
Mm-hmm.
It's called like Section 8, I think, and it's just like a bunch of like it's just a
one-off villains.
It's just
that
a bunch
never
of like
really got
it's
anywhere.
just a bunch of like kind of like dog shit villains. And they're all kind of like all their concepts are like really stupid.
Yeah.
Like Polka Dot Man and all those guys. I don't know if you know Polka Dot
like
Man.
Flem Jim,
Yeah.
Bueno Excelente.
I don't know that one.
I don't think we should go into that one.
Probably not going to Bueno Excelente.
Keep it PG.
Yeah, and then dog welder, of course. It's not really specified whether or not the dogs are alive or not, but he welds dogs onto people.
Oh, interesting.
Like welds. Yeah, he's wearing like welder, and he has like a dog in his hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The lyrics of the song have nothing to do with
Yeah,
that.
not at all. But
It was like a really like old it was a really like old idea I had when I was like 16, playing on Harrison's like Squire Strat that would go out of tune like with like 2 strums. But yeah, I was just like playing that little like the little part you play, like the octave part. I just came up with that in my room one day and I was like, this could be cool. And then Harrison kind of like made it into like somewhat of a song, and I was like, okay, I could do something with this. And then we finished it out, and it's like 5 minutes long, but it's like one of the
No, it's a hell of a song.
That's like one of the ones I'm the most proud of.
It's in my top 3 Chavos.
Yeah,
okay,
easily.
Cool.
On a side note, because I know we mentioned a little bit about it before we started rolling earlier, but what gear do y'all play? What do you guys like to use? Like, what's your main rig?
I use at home. I forget. I know it's a Sonar kit, but I can't remember
specific.
What kind it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's some like vintage kind of like classic kit, but it sounds really nice.
Awesome.
But like on the at shows and on the road and whatnot, I use my Tama Hyperdrive.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's super punchy, and it feels really nice, and it's just the kind of the perfect thing to have for
and reliable
a live show with El Chavos or Joey Bomb. And then
my rig is it's like just a standard little PV cab, like 4x12, like from the 90s. I don't even know what model.
Yeah.
But it's made of plywood, so it's heavy.
Yeah.
And then my amp is the Orange Terror, the OR15. I love
Good
that little
choice.
fucking amp. That
Orange amps have just a unique sound.
I love that British that British like righteousness.
It's a great way to put it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I grew up like loving Iron Maiden, so like,
Oh, there you go.
I have like kind of like just somewhere in my heart just loves that British sound, and it's a super versatile amp. I mean, I use it for Chavos when it gets those fucking mean ass like post-hardcore screamo tones that I like Chavos is known for, but it also can get a nice solid like little rock tone for Joy Bomb.
Yeah.
And then pedals and stuff. I don't use anything special. I use a tuner, a hush, and an EQ.
Yeah.
And I just put a phaser on, and then occasionally I use like an $80 delay that is his.
Sure.
Nice.
Yeah. So like I don't do much with pedals. Not very. I mean I
was always a bigger fan, and even in studio, I'm a bigger fan of going straight in.
Yeah, I mean I've never really been big into like super pedals. I mean I have a phaser, I have a delay, but I don't, like I said, I mean I run a hush and an EQ essentially, and that's like not. It's just,
what's your main guitar?
So I have there was one that I fucking really loved. And I have to say loved because I broke it on Joy Bomb tour.
Oh no.
The neck snapped and it's just not a good time. It was like an Epiphone Les Paul and I loved it. But my main guitar I play is it's a Zach Myers Tempest Green PRS signature
nice.
SE, and I mean I've had that guitar for like since like 2016 or whatever. I've had that, and it's been beaten up and it's missing a peg, and it's but that guitar has never let me down, man. All the recordings for Chavos have been on that. Most of the Chavos shows I've played on that guitar. I mean that guitar is like my fucking baby.
There's a
Yeah.
sentimentality that comes with a guitar that's been through hell.
Oh, dude, that guitar has been through hell. Yeah, it's been with me for a minute. So that's essentially my rig. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good choice, man. PRS into an orange amp is like, I mean,
That's
if
classic.
it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
You know.
I mean, it's not like, at least it's not like a Jackson going to like a line 6.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, right.
Just stabbed me right in my ear. Yeah.
So
no tone.
you mentioned you broke the neck of your favorite guitar on tour with Joy Bomb.
Yeah.
So I know you've been with Joy Bomb for almost a year now, right?
Yeah, coming close actually.
Yeah, and
I joined in like April,
and Lukey,
Of
you
last
just
year.
joined not too long ago.
Not too long ago.
like September.
so,
October.
like-
Right.
So like basically what happened was like Chavos and Joy Bomb had a show the same night. Joy Bomb show was a lot later. And so we played our Chavos show, and then I didn't have shit to do, so I was like, I'm gonna go see Xander and Joy Bomb.
Nice.
So I went and saw them, and happened to be Lyrics last show. And they were
Wow.
really out of
it's kind of out of nowhere. He
I-
just told us after the show.
yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
We knew he was gonna have to move away soon, but
But you didn't know the extent or like how
Yeah.
soon, right? Yeah.
And I was there, and I had been going to Joy Bomb shows. Grant knew me. I even bought a Joy Bomb shirt that show.
Hell yeah.
And Grant totally he was like he was like $20, and I was like, I have 12, and he like let it slide.
There
and,
you go.
And then I just saw Xander walk over and go talk to the band, and then he walks back to me. He's like, hey, you need to start listening to some Joy Bomb. And I was like,
that was a hint, right?
I was like, okay, cool. And then I started listening to Joy Bomb, and then I was listening to the American Cult, and then Modern Scripture, just back and
Right.
forth, and then now we go in the studio next month to start working on Joy Bomb album.
Very
That's
cool.
awesome.
So,
That's
yeah.
awesome. And y'all
the
just finished up
second
tour,
LP.
right?
Yeah, well, yeah, we
We finished. We did a week in December and like a little bit longer
a
than
9-day
a
run
week
in January.
Where
That-
did y'all go? Just
Yeah,
curious.
it was like a Mid-South tour,
everywhere.
right?
Okay, so let me try to remember the December run. It started out with
Little Rock, right?
that's January.
That was January run.
No, it started out
It all blurs
in
together
yeah.
it was
after a while.
It all
Birmingham,
blends.
then Atlanta,
Mhm.
then we were gonna go to Athens the next day. We couldn't get land a show that day, which was really fucked because that was like the Saturday. I'm pretty sure,
Right.
Either the Friday or the Saturday.
Right. The important date.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then we went to like Winston Salem.
Don't go there, guys.
Winston Salem.
Shout
There's
out Winston
nothing.
Salem.
Asheville, there was nothing. Knoxville, there was nothing.
It was
And then we had one pretty decent night in Nashville with
Cool.
It was like a New Faces. It was like a Tuesday, but it was like some New Faces
we played
night.
like 4 songs.
Like every group played 4 songs. It was like us and like
What
the
venue?
most Nashville bands you've ever seen.
Yeah.
You know,
The
you know
type
what
of
I'm saying?
Then you guys.
The type of bands that like have to introduce every member of the band with like their instrument.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
hey, here's Johnny, and he plays guitar.
Man.
Holy.
Yeah, very, very.
Here's Nate and he plays bass.
All right, we got Xander on the drums. So bad.
See, it's really funny. It's like Nashville used to actually have an underground punk scene,
Yeah,
and it was cool. I mean, there was actually some really cool shows I went up there to see, and just it seems like now it's nothing but it's not even country anymore. It's just pop country.
yeah.
It's
I mean, I partially like. I kind of shit on Nashville, but like partially that's just the Memphian in me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Like-
yeah.
Like,
It's the Memphis.
but like there's something about like being in a band like El Chavos, and then like going to like Main Street in like Nashville and seeing all those lame Keith Urban cover bands. Like, it's just not fun.
I
man.
mean, yeah, no, not.
People play music for money down there.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
there ain't a whole lot of money in like playing locally in Memphis, which is, I think, I mean, you know, it'd be
Yeah,
nice
we-
if
we're not
we got a
making-
bit
we're
more
not
of a payday,
making
but
shit.
it also means there's going to be a lot more soul and like
Yeah.
Passion.
integrity in
And,
the
yeah, yeah.
scene,
Well,
which
and
I
if nothing else,
really
that
like.
you just explained the difference between Memphis and Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty quickly and pretty efficiently.
However, it didn't used to always be that way.
Yeah.
Like, and I can't say exactly when it flipped, but there was a weird time where, in Memphis at least, that suddenly the cover bands were getting better and better money gigs, and like I knew, like, dude, they looked, they acted, they had all the merch and the you know,
Dude, I
nice
kinda
setups for
remember
the show,
that.
but they were cover bands.
I kind of
and they were
remember
getting
that.
better gigs, and it's still that way right now.
I kind of remember like a string of like Michael Jackson cover band, like just old '80s pop band, and they would do the whole get up.
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
like
yeah.
they
No,
would
it was-
look like the band.
Yeah.
Like getting that nostalgia profit. You know?
Right.
well, I
I
mean,
kind of remember that
To
happening.
be honest, those guys actually, at least the ones I'm thinking of, they actually put in a lot of work to do those kinds of shows.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it was like they were the band. You know, what I
Doing
mean?
yeah,
They were
exactly.
doing exactly what the guys did. It's dressed the same. I mean, they had backdrops,
Same
and banners,
same
and,
stage antics.
you know,
and everything.
yeah.
amp scrims, and the whole nine. It was like they put in a lot of work, right? So I could understand them getting certain gigs that
Right,
would
but
make
not
sense.
all the gigs.
But it somehow just flipped, man. And like the cover bands, like everybody's kind of had to sideline, at least in Memphis, their main original music in order to go make some money. And it's never
Yeah.
really come back around that way.
I mean, I feel like every band has to dip into covers. I mean, that's natural, but like, I definitely see what you're saying. But I mean, there's definitely like a, you know, like Chavos wouldn't have had any attention if we didn't do at least some covers.
A couple, yeah.
Right.
It's unnecessary.
And like,
you know.
I think for a lot of people, it's finding that balance
Yeah.
of like
Yeah,
how many
absolutely.
covers are in your set, or
Yeah.
you know, or
Well,
how they're
there's an
responding or whatever.
integrity thing that you're absolutely right about, but at the same time, I feel like the venues here in town should really be doing more to make sure their original
Yeah.
music scene actually can function.
Yeah, so it can't.
You know what I
I mean,
mean?
it can die out if it's all covers.
Well, and it did.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. From like 2008 until recently, I mean,
Yeah.
it still hasn't fully changed back the way it should.
No,
But
I
if you
agree.
want a thriving music scene, you got to actually, as a venue, if a band is showing up, they're good, and they bring people, you make sure they get taken care of.
yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I think we've been exceptionally generous in that aspect, because I think a lot of venue owners and stuff like I've mentioned Ben and Jay from Haven House,
Yeah.
like a lot of them, and then you know guys from like I guess it would be Mikey now at Growlers and stuff, but like all these venue owners and stuff, see the Chavos pools, and they've always been super kind and always taken care of us and made sure
That's good.
we have a show to play.
Yeah, and
Glad
they
to
always
hear that.
try to hook us up with some with good shows.
Yeah, like,
That's
hey, we
good.
know the
with like shows
about
that
to be
are
big.
like worth playing.
Right.
You know, and
So-
I mean, I can't appreciate them enough for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been very we're very grateful to have something like that.
That's
It's
awesome.
kind of like, you know,
to
like
hear.
a sign that all
Yeah.
this work
Yeah.
has like meant something.
Because
Yeah,
to
yeah.
me, like I was saying earlier, I mean, when Memphis, at least, you know, for me, when it was hopping, man, I mean, there were shows like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like, and I'm talking original music shows. I mean, it
Yeah.
was happening. And, but during that time, and it greatly depended on, like, you had to bring a crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't expect a venue to want to take care of a band that just showed up to play. That's only doing half your job.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's your if they're bringing you on, you got to bring somebody. You know what I mean? Doesn't have to fill the house, but enough to justify you getting the gig in the first place.
Right.
So there was this kind of relationship where the venues were working with the bands, and each band was working with each other because they knew, hey, if we all show up to their show, they're going to show up to our show. And when we do that, the venues are going to take care of each of us better because we're bringing this crowd, right? And the venue makes more money because people are buying drinks and people are buying food and whatever else happens. But I'm really glad to hear, and I'm going to look up a little bit more about Haven House.
Yeah.
Because I am thrilled to hear that there's guys out there doing that.
Ben
Their
and-
new
Ben and
space
Jay
is
is-
really sick.
I can't wait to see
Ben
it.
and Jay are.
You said it was downtown, right?
It is, yeah. It's
Where?
right behind Ernestine Hazel's.
Oh, okay. yeah.
Yeah, and
Like right by Arcade
yeah.
and like
Yeah,
Central
right across the
Station.
street
Yeah.
from
super
there.
super amazing venue.
How big of a room? We
big
talking?
big enough for a fucking
Like not
to
like
be
massive, but like
big enough to
it's
get to not see the band if the crowd's big enough.
Yeah, it's a long.
yeah.
It's a
Uh,
long.
So we're
room.
talking
It's-
like
it's-
500 person or so, or maybe a little
Probably
smaller?
250.
Yeah, you could
Probably
250, 300 maybe.
and I mean, and like I said earlier, I mean, we headlined their first show there, and it went amazing. And they were running it, you know, all through a generator for a minute, essentially, like, without central heating or lights or anything. But I mean, it worked, and they are really trying to do something for the scene because those guys just love shows.
That's fantastic,
And
man.
it's like the perfect pair of people that like Chavos needed to meet. you
Right.
know, And they
Yeah.
love us. We love them. They've been super helpful towards us. I've even mentioned like maybe wanting to like help us book a tour
That's
and
awesome.
stuff. So it's
That's
like
lit, man.
it's
Yeah.
really just
Mm.
I love those guys. And,
Might see
love Haven House.
something about that pop up on our Instagram
Yeah.
Okay.
sometime soon.
I'll
Maybe.
have to make sure everybody goes and checks it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's awesome. It's just awesome to hear. Now, like in the spirit of that, like camaraderie type of thing, like, are there other bands in town that y'all are like friends with? Like, I mean,
DJ Breakfast.
shout
wearing
out-
the merch
shout
right
out.
She's
now.
wearing the shirt.
Right
She's
now.
wearing the shirt.
It's fire. It's so fire.
Half of our band is in After the Rain.
Yeah, Hank and the other half of Chavos is in After the Rain. So like
Yeah.
our half is in Joy Bomb, but the other half is in another band.
Okay,
Okay.
But
cool.
we're all four of us are in Chavos.
And those guys
Nah.
are really great.
After the Rain,
And,
yeah, they're super great. I
They're
mean,
super tight.
dude, yeah, fucking check out Yahweh, dog.
Yeah,
That's
dude, Yahweh, that song is really sick.
they're gnarly. But I mean, like we hang out with our friends. Like our all these like our friends are in bands. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah, well, of course.
we're all like band friends and Degenerate Breakfast, and me and Xander hang out at their house all the time.
Yeah.
And then like
There's also like, you know, like
the Narrows, they're
and,
great. Owen and fucking Chris and Aiden, they're
All
those guys.
similar styles, or do we have different?
Similar.
It kind of jumps around.
That's good though.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like
diversity is a good thing.
I don't
man.
think I could really nail a genre to any of these
Sure.
bands.
Mhm.
Maybe After the Rain, but I mean, but like everyone's kind of like After the Rain's more like a rocky approach to it. We're like more of the post-hardcore approach to the music scene, and then I mean, DJ's really their own thing, and you know, Narrows is kind of doing their own thing too.
Yeah.
and it's really cool to kind
The
of see
two of
that.
them like aren't like too different from each other.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's still like a much different vibe.
It's
That's
just
cool,
it's really cool seeing like all of our friends like who can write music and like we all write our own versions of what we want for the scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
And that's just I mean it's kind of
It's just kind of like a melting pot. And
yeah,
good.
it is. It's just
Yeah.
like a
Memphis always
hodgepodge.
has been, and like when bands and groups from different genres and different or even just different styles of stuff are coming together and working with each other, or showing up for the show. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
It makes a massive difference. And like I said, it really can spark something that builds that scene, and it's desperately needed here in town. So I'm really excited to hear about a lot of this. Yeah, for again, everybody listening and myself included, when's the next show?
I know the next Joy Bomb show is.
Well, you can call that out too. Like what's happening and when.
Next Joy Bomb show is the 9th.
We're at
Highton Small Room, I think.
cool.
And then it's not like officially announced yet, but I'm pretty sure the next Chavos show is going to be 27th.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where at?
It's going to be at Even House, maybe?
Okay.
To be officially announced later.
It's one
but,
of the,
yeah.
it's usually one of the, like, if we're playing, it's usually either like Haven House or like one of the High Tone Rooms or Growlers.
Yeah.
More recently, at least.
Yeah.
Well, cool. This is fantastic, guys.
Yeah.
Again, your main social media, at least, is going to be the Instagram page,
Yeah,
right?
El Chavos official.
Yeah.
And then for Joy Bomb,
Joy
same.
Bomb official.
Yeah. Keep
Yeah.
it
Official.
simple. Yeah.
Very cool. Very
There you
cool. Anything else you guys want to add that you guys are going to be doing? Oh, I did have one more question actually, because I've kind of found that a lot of bands don't even think to do this, but you guys did tours, right? So do you know about the endorsement setups you can do for different things? You can
No.
get free picks, you can get free strings, you can get free gear.
Hmm.
And I'm not talking about the major company.
Right.
Obviously, you have to have a pretty serious track record that you can show for touring. But if
Yeah.
you have enough of a consistency, you can say we're doing a week here, a week here, a week here. You can at least show planned out stuff.
Mhm.
There are companies, and again, it might be off-brand, but free picks are free picks, man. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So like that's something
yeah.
I don't think most bands actually know you can go do.
That's
Yeah.
definitely something to look into
I mean,
sure.
definitely we're gonna look into that. I mean, we already have our own sources and stuff through like people in the industry.
Sure.
Like, I mean, I won't get too into it because but
Well, no, yeah, those are private companies.
yeah, but I mean, like, I have my personal connections. Like, all of our picks are custom made by big companies that use for big touring bands.
That's cool.
Nice.
And
That's awesome.
And I just ordered some for Joy Bomb. So we got some new Joy Bomb picks coming.
Nice.
They're pink.
That's fire.
One other thing
nice.
I'll kind of mention, just kind of as a last kind of a business bit of advice, because most people don't think about this, but and you may or may not have done this, but you should form your own band LLC as an actual business. And there's two reasons for doing this. One, it's a sense of legitimacy for the project, and I'm always a big proponent of plan for success, right? If it takes off, you already have an infrastructure, you can go get a bank account for the band,
Right.
Yeah.
and it's just smart to do. But the other factor is, as a band, if it is an LLC, if it is a business, you can straight up literally write off more than you think on tax time.
Really?
So if you're spending money on cables, you're spending money on drumsticks, and God knows drums are the most expensive part of the band.
Yes, they are.
Drums
all.
and fucking cymbals, dude.
If your band is an LLC business, you can write all of that off. And that is something serious you don't think about. But it's one of those business hat things like, dude, I mean, I have a major section of my house is dedicated to my business, right? I write off certain things for tax deductions. Like if you're not doing that and you're still spending buku of money on anything related to the band actually functioning, you're missing out.
Yeah.
You're missing out big time. So it's just a really smart recommendation I'd throw out there. Like, look into it. Because, I mean,
Definitely.
if you can get money back on all the strings you buy, all the sticks you buy, the cymbals, the hardware, whatever, you could buy a band van for touring. And if you're an LLC, you can write that off. You know what I'm saying? So there's just these options there that's worth looking at. Just a bit of advice, like it's really worth considering because, I mean, if you can get money out of the government,
Yeah, right.
Might as well.
Might as
screw
well.
them anyway. Yeah, I mean, like, but again, it's legit, and there's smart ways to do it, and you have to do it legitimately. Like,
Right.
you're gonna have to keep your receipts. You're gonna have to actually do some work.
But you can get paid in return.
if you really want the band to function, you really shouldn't be paying out of pocket for everything.
Yeah.
Definitely
so-
not.
So it's something worth considering. Well, again, dude, guys, thank you so much for coming
Oh,
on.
of
This
course.
was,
This has
this
been
was a
wonderful.
blast.
This has been great, man.
Yeah,
Anytime.
absolutely. We could clearly talk shop for like another hour. If we
Yeah,
really
for sure.
wanted
Really could,
to. But thank you guys so much for coming on the show. And again, El Chavos and Joy Bomb. Please go check out both of their Instagram pages. El Chavos official, Joy Bomb official. I remembered.
There we go.
Yeah, there
Oh,
we
yeah.
go. And we'll see y'all in the next one.
Peace
Peace,
out.
guys.